Our message affirmation this morning is, I believe. And as simple and straightforward as that is oftentimes the most difficult thing in the world to do. I think I've mentioned over the last few months some challenges that have been going on at the office, and it's a challenge to me because it's just moving more and more to crisis mode. And I kind of stand back and even I, for a moment, will scratch my head and say, how can this be happening? I work all the processes. This isn't the law of attraction working for me. And sometimes it gets frightening because, of course, if you can't meet your obligations, it's a frightening place to be. But to stop and believe and know that God is there in every circumstance and situation. So I've really been doing a lot of heavy praying and reciting a lot of positive affirmations lately, and holding on to our belief, to believing, to knowing that God is there in every circumstance and every situation can be an incredible challenge. Outside of the fellowship, I do encounter people socially who know that I'm a minister, and sometimes they'll challenge the existence of God and the belief as well. And that is, sometimes it's one of the most heart-wrenching things to try to explain to somebody, especially when you think of an episode like Sandy Hook or September 11th of 2001. These things, because people will come to you and say, well, what kind of God would let that happen? And we just have to let go and let God work the way that He's going to work. And in the midst of these tragedies, hold on to our belief, even though it's very, very hard to do. I don't remember, I'm sure it was wrapped in a very clever story, but years ago I heard one time this great analogy, well, it's not an analogy, but this great truth that basically, if God came down right now and made Himself visible to you and said, hi, I'm God, I'm real, and then went away, it wouldn't be an issue of faith anymore. You wouldn't have to believe in anything because you would know it to be true. So holding on to your faith, holding on to your belief is very important because it's that faith that gets us through, and it's that faith that gives us comfort. Our question this week, so when you're going through the week, and especially if you're going through some challenge or some circumstance or situation that you find untenable, that makes you start doubting, is where do I turn in doubt? Do you turn inside? Do you turn to prayer, to affirmation, to meditation? I know during these last few months, as things have become more and more challenging, this is where I find myself turning to quiet moments of meditation, because I turn to that belief, because it's that belief that gives me the comfort. Even though I'm not seeing what I need to have manifesting right in front of me, just knowing that I have this connection with the power and the presence of God brings so much comfort. So you're not seeing what needs to manifest right in front of you at the time, but you know that it's all going to work out to its perfect and divine resolution. Because as New Thought students, we know and believe that we are always exactly where we're supposed to be. And we don't always understand it, and to us it might be a really unpleasant, uncomfortable place to be, but we have to know that this is part of the bigger plan that God is working on. And so we have to sit back, we have to let go and let God work through His process and work His miracle, just as He's done from the day the planet started. Because we can look around, I can look out there and see these beautiful trees and the grass, and even though it's a little gray outside, I know what a miracle it is to see all of this going on and all of this growth and these beautiful things. This is the power and the majesty of God. So I need to accept also that even in my seemingly darkest hours, these challenges that come up, I need to hold on to that belief. When I'm in doubt, I need to turn to God. Rather than walking away from Him and saying, you're not giving me what I need right now. Maybe you're not real. Maybe I've been barking up the wrong tree all these years. Rather than turning away, this is the time to turn to God. When you're in doubt, when you have these questions and these challenges and these problems that seem insurmountable, and all the prayer at the moment doesn't seem to be getting you what you need, this is, again, the time when you most need to turn to God. I was thinking of the wonderful poem that I'm sure everybody's seen, Footsteps. And, that talks about, at the end of time, God talking with a young man. And it depicts them walking along the beach, and you see these two sets of footprints, and the person recalls to God, but I see that during the most troubling times of my life, there was only one set of footprints. Where were you? And of course, God's response is, well, that's when I was carrying you. So when we're in our time of trouble, our most challenging crisis, when we stop and think that it's time to question our belief, that's the time when we need to most turn to God, most embrace Him. Because even if what you think that you need in the physical, in the worldly way isn't manifesting right before you, that comfort, that warmth that you get from knowing, from confiding in God, from knowing that He's there for you, is going to carry you through, and it's going to take you to where you need to go. And the good news is, because we always have the good news is that God is always available to turn to when doubt enters our minds. When challenges pile up, when our faith is put in question, prayer, meditation, and positive affirmations can work to restore the peace and comfort that we feel with our faith in God. Because that faith in God is the most important thing to take you through even the darkest of times. One of my favorite Psalms, of course, the 23rd Psalm, which is very, very popular, is, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." So these are the times when you are walking through the darkest valley with all the shadows, with all the fears. This is the time not to turn away, not to get consumed with doubt and rethink your belief system. That's the time to turn to God. That's the time to embrace your positive affirmations, embrace your prayer time with God. Take that time to meditate. Quiet yourself, open your mind, be receptive to that comfort that you get from God, from that connection of being one with the divine. So even if you find yourself with just a moment or two, that's why I made that such a wonderful, quick little affirmation today, in your deepest and darkest challenge, just stop and affirm, "I believe, I believe, I believe." And we know that can relate to a myriad of things. I believe that my health will be restored. I believe my financial situation is going to improve. I believe this dark, shadowy place that I'm walking through is soon going to be behind me. I believe, I believe, I believe. So remember that as you go through the week. I believe. Very simple, easy. Take that with you and walk with God and hold on to your faith and believe in every circumstance and every situation.